Zeno and Daishinkan's relationship has always been very strange. While Zeno is always lighthearted and playful, Daishinkan always acts as if he's tied to the Omni King, as if he's fulfilling a duty, an obligation, to keep him under control. This reveals a lot about his history, even though the Great Priest is the most mysterious character in the anime. So I decided to make a video, exploring in depth all the secrets of the Great Priest based on everything we've already seen, all the scenes in which he appears, the scenes that reveal a bit of his past, and much more. This video is extraordinary for every Dragon Ball fan, so I'm counting on your like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell. Now that you've done that, prepare that snack, something light so you don't gain weight. Sit back, get comfortable, and come with me. It starts off calmly, smoothly. Back in the beginning, there was no calendar, no episode titles, just a nameless darkness. The history of the universe has never been all light and people fighting. There have always been some guys behind the scenes. In the case Daima throws in our faces, there was a huge guy in the cosmic hierarchy named Rhymus, a magen who was given the mission, or the mandate, and you can sense there's even politics in this, to order and create the universes outside the demon realm. He's not just a strong someone, he's the one who shaped the whole thing. It's a plot twist that leaves everyone confused, because until then, Zeno reigned as the supreme authority in many people's minds. But Daima showed Rhymus as the architect. Imagine a contrast, a quarrelsome magen creating order, and a childish Zeno with the power to extinguish it's already a fire in the park. Now imagine this mental scene, the newly formed universe, Rhymus almost like a divine squire who plants continents, arranges spaces in the stars, and organizes blocks of reality. At some point in this process, entities emerge that are not the result of chance, they are functions. And one of these functions is the role of absolute destroyer/judge, another is that of administrator of innocence. Zeno, in this scenario, is yet another pure manifestation of the power to annihilate, perhaps born as a contrast to Rhymus's work, perhaps as a secondary creation for balance. This completely changes the classic reading. Zeno is not the author of everything, he is the child with a nuclear button that the rest of the world had to learn to manage. This is where the Daishinkan comes in. In Dragon Ball Super, he already appears as the guy who receives visitors, picks everyone up, and takes them to Zeno, and is called the father of the angels. He has this calm aura, a wide smile, and a power that intimidates even the gods. But how did they meet? With Rhymus in the picture, it makes sense to imagine that, when the first foundations were laid, an institution was needed to mediate the relationship between the creator, Rhymus, the executor of judgment, Zeno, and the other forces of the cosmos. Daishinkan emerges as this mediator. He's not simply appointed at random, he's the organized answer to the practical problem. Okay, we have a power that erases and a creator that creates. Who can guarantee this won't spill over into catastrophe? And that someone is Daishinkan. Imagine the scene, Rhymus, with his magen manner, burly, with that ancient creature vibe, working like a carpenter of realities, hammering nails into the frames of the multiverse. In the distance, a small, glowing figure appears, full of energy, without malice, but with destructive potential, Zeno. He observes the stars Rhymus has just placed and, on impulse, taps them and a galaxy disappears. Not because he intended to maliciously, but because he touched them and didn't yet know what touching was. Rhymus, busily hammering nails, looks at the damage and thinks, man, someone needs to teach this kid how to play without destroying the house. Then the Daishinkan appears, perhaps a creation delegated by Rhymus, perhaps a being born to fill this gap, and calmly approaches Zeno. The chemistry between the two is simple. Zeno, the absolute child, Daishinkan, the absolute tutor. In the anime, we've seen images of this kind of relationship before. Goku arrives casually in Zeno's office, and the Grand Minister stands there, serene, guiding the situation, explaining what's happening around him, and transforming Zeno's unpredictable will into something that reality can digest. It's the figure of the official translator, someone who takes an "I want to erase" and gently transforms it into "let's organize a tournament." Remember Goku's visit to Zeno, when the Grand Minister arrives and makes the announcements about the Tournament of Power? That attitude, that "I'll take care of it," is precisely the modern reflection of his role from the beginning. Now, let's jump to a more intimate scene, Daishinkan and Zeno sitting side by side, without much ceremony. Zeno looks curious and occasionally presses little power buttons, and Daishinkan smiles, with that familiar air, half grandfather, half church administrator. With Rhymus having planted the universes, Daishinkan's job was to teach Zeno how to use the power without wiping out the entire house, teaching limits, creating rituals, creating roles, the gods of destruction, the supreme Kaioshin, the angels, also that Zeno's actions would be contextualized. He was the one who helped structure the social and hierarchical board we see in the narratives. In practice, this means that many of the institutions we call natural in the universe, who destroys, who creates, who oversees, are a functional arrangement set up after creation, to contain the consequences of that all-powerful button that Zeno represents. And there are scenes that demonstrate the Grand Minister's role as executor/mediator. Besides taking Goku to meet Zeno, he even makes extreme decisions when necessary. In Maruza's case, for example, the Grand Minister removed angelic traits/altered his existence for reasons of angelic law, demonstrating that his power is not merely ceremonial, he regulates the very essence of angels. This adds a dimension. The Daishinkan is not just Zeno's friend, he is the manager of the divine infrastructure. With Rhymus on the pedestal of creator, the relationship between Zeno and Daishinkan takes on a new tone. It is no longer king and servant, but control device and operator. Zeno is the machine that makes things disappear. Daishinkan is the engineer who adjusts the machine. Rhymus is the one who built the building where the machine is installed. And that's where the story improves dramatically, because we can imagine ancient speeches, Rhymus instructing, Daishinkan organizing, and Zeno learning scenes that, in Daima, are practically a reboot of what we thought about the origin. Now, let's get to the emotional part. Even though Zeno has absolute power, he's always been presented as a child who wants to play and, occasionally, feels alone. Daishinkan, for many centuries, was the only constant presence, the companion who wasn't afraid of that power. When Goku arrives and thinks Zeno is cool, it shakes what remains of that primordial childhood. Daishinkan observes as if he's seen 1,000 civilizations rise and fall because of that power, and so he feels a mixture of relief and tension when someone treats Zeno naturally. This scene, besides being funny, reveals everything. Zeno didn't need an authoritative tutor, he needed someone who could translate consequences. And that someone was, and is, Daishinkan. If we were to conclude with a theory that looks good on camera, Rhymus built the stage, but he also left traps. Perhaps he created systems with redundancies, the angels, the Kaioshin's, the gods of destruction, precisely to ensure that neither the creator himself, nor an impatient being like Zeno, could accidentally erase everything. And Daishinkan is living redundancy, a being who learned, or was created to learn, to transform whims into routine. This explains why the Grand Minister can intervene at levels that seem authoritarian even to the gods themselves. He is not an aggressor, he is the practical application of the rules that keep reality functioning. Rhymus designed the house. Zeno brought the energy that could have burned the entire house down out of curiosity. And Daishinkan? He was the one who learned how to rebuild the rooms, fix the nails, and teach the children to play without setting the room on fire. This is the story of how order, chaos, and divine administration learn to coexist, and why, even today, when Zeno pushes buttons, the Grand Minister's calm smile holds back the catastrophe. So that's it. Don't forget to like it, it's very important. Subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. And that's it. Thanks, and I'm done.